Hi, Larry Benjamin here with another Tesla Model 3 video. Today I'm going to review the car after having owned it for 1 year. I have about 14,000 miles on it. It's been fun to drive, it handles well, it's fast. I have the long-range model, rear-wheel drive only. They unfortunately no longer make this model. They now make the mid-range model, which is a few $1,000s less, has a little bit less range, 264 miles versus 310. And then of course there are the two dual motor options. One of the best things about owning the car is the over-the-air software updates. I've noticed since I've gotten the car that the Autopilot seems more accurate, more sure-footed, more reliable. The car has no problem staying in the lane and navigating through the toll gate. Autopilot is great for stop-and-go traffic around the city. Autopilot's also great for long trips, and with the Supercharger network, it's got you covered to make sure that you have enough battery power to get to your destination. One of the things to look for is that each Supercharger has a different rate of charge. For instance, the one in Petaluma is 119 kilowatts. The one in Daly City is only 72. Your charging speed can also vary if there are many cars lined up next to each other in terms of adjacent stalls, whereas if it's completely vacant, you'll have far more voltage available. I've greatly enjoyed my trip to San Francisco in the Tesla Model 3. The one downside I see, unfortunately, is the lack of infrastructure with superchargers. The nearest supercharger from where I was staying was 18 miles away. So that's why I'm charging before I head back to Los Angeles. It's a half-hour drive here, an hour to charge, and then a half-hour drive back to the hotel that I'm staying. Now, granted, it is expanding and it will have more locations in the future, but on this most recent trip, I needed to drive 30 minutes out of my way and then charge it for an hour. This would be the equivalent to going to a gas station 30 minutes out of the way and staying there for an hour. But aside from that inconvenience, it was fantastic. The Autopilot far outweighed the detriment of that. There have been some new additions to it that it recognizes motorcycles, pedestrians, bicyclists, and various shapes and sizes of cars and trucks. So I still enjoy driving the car, and of course, as we all know, the instant torque off the line is great. But even more importantly, is the car from 50 to 70 miles an hour, when you need that extra power, it's there. The car has a really low center of gravity due to the placement of the batteries. As such, the car handles very well around tight, mountainous, hairpin turns. The voice activation works very well. Navigate to Best Buy. Not only does this apply for putting in a destination that you're navigating to, but also the various media options. After a year, you completely get used to having most controls controlled by the touchscreen. The only thing I wish is there was a way to voice activate the ventilation system. For instance, you can see it'll recognize my prompt. Set temperature to 65 degrees. So it recognizes what I'm saying, but of course it doesn't have this function yet. Or something like, set fan speed to 4. Unfortunately, I have to do this and divert my eyes off the road temporarily. The car also works very well in inclement weather, such as rain. I would say certainly a dual motor might be a better option for the snow, but for Southern California, which is mostly dry and occasional rain, the rear-wheel drive works perfectly well. One of the things that doesn't get talked about very often is the excellent sound system. I have some credibility in this area as I'm a re-recording mixer that has mixed some shows that you've probably watched. While the sound system isn't the loudest or the boldest in terms of the bass compared to some other sound systems that are out there, it is the cleanest. It is free of distortion, it's free of rattle, it doesn't have that kind of peak harmonic distortion that is exhibited when you turn music up very, very loudly. It's clean. It has a really clean, tight low end, a very nice crisp high end without it being punishing and sizzly. It has an immersion mode, which is very convincing. It's almost kind of like a surround mode where it puts the music in an enveloping sound field. But it's certainly loud enough for most applications. It makes even dated music sound very crystal clear. All right, let's activate Navigate on Autopilot. You hear the tritone and the graphic changes from 2 blue lines to 1 blue. The car won't automatically make a lane change, but it'll suggest one. I recently noticed that when the Autopilot nags, instead of giving a little bit of torque to the steering wheel, you can use either of the volume knobs on the steering wheel, the control knobs. When you're in your final lane before an off-ramp, the car will automatically activate the turn signal as well as make the exit itself, ending the Navigate on Autopilot program.
In 1,000 feet, take exit 13A on the right onto Chahunga Avenue. Now take exit 13A on the right. In 500 feet, turn right onto Chahunga Avenue.
The car ended the Navigate on Autopilot program, and it's actually still under autopilot control. When we get to the bottom of the on-ramp, I'll take over.
Now turn right onto Chahunga Avenue.
In this latest version of software, we gained a couple of video games. We select them under the Tesla T, and you obviously have to be parked to play them. We hit Atari, and we're going to play Pole Position. Pole Position allows you to use the steering wheel to actually steer the vehicle, the scroll wheel on the steering wheel to upshift and downshift, and you use the brake pedal to accelerate and let off the brake pedal to decelerate. Let's go full screen.
Prepare to qualify.
So you can use the steering wheel to literally steer the car. You can upshift and downshift using the scroll wheel. Also under the Easter eggs is the Whoopie cushion. Whoopie cushion brings great fun. You also have to be parked. You can fart on demand. You can literally select which fart you want. Where you place the Whoopie cushion tells the fart to trigger out of that speaker. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay. You can also put the fart on the turn signal, so when you make a left turn or a right turn, it'll trigger the fart. So once the car is in romance mode, when you tap on the fireplace, where does it get the music from? If you take a look here, there's actually a romance channel. Let's light that up. And you can keep advancing through the different songs. They're all going to be love-making themed. And every time you touch the application, it'll come up with a different song. It's basically advancing it to the next tune. This car was purchased with full autonomy. I put that $3,000 into the car initially, so when that hardware option is available, the NVIDIA computer will be swapped out.